Hey, this is Prak with our repair. Today we have a DJI Mini 4 that suffered a pretty severe crash that dislodged the cap off the gimbal, and off to the side right here, one of the side gimbal guard has been scuffed and dislodged. You have scuffing on the front, the two front arm, and the rear left arm broke off. Let's go ahead and power on this drone to see what else is the issue. Customer already stated that they have gimbal issues where gimbal does not stabilize. And let's turn this on. See what problems we have. Yep. See here, the gimbal does not properly respond. See what this information we have on here says. Let's make connection. Okay. Start off with gimbal error. Okay, definitely, but we do have video feed. You can see that. So with this repair, we're gonna see if we can rebuild this gimbal with some parts available. We're gonna replace this back arm right here with a new one. The back left rear arm will be replaced with a new one. And let's go ahead and go to the repair. Okay, so for this repair, we will need a few things. We will need a heat gun. A solder iron. We will also need tool set. And of course, the replacement back arm for here. And the first thing we do, all repair, is make sure to take the battery out. And let's go ahead and take the SD card out of this. And put this on the side. And then I will take out the tool. Go ahead and pull off. First thing we're gonna attack is turn the drone over. Okay. And then we will use the hex screw or the torque screw to take this off. Okay, for this one, we'll use the T4. Let me verify. So this torque screw right here should be the one that matches it. There we go. Okay. And this torque screw is the T4. T4 screw. Insert, take the screwdriver off. And let me go ahead and actually magnetize this particular screw. It's magnetic already, but I'm putting a little additional magnet here to help me pull out. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't work. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Some screws are not ferro material, where a magnet is not affected by it. Let's go ahead and turn this over. Just tap the screw off. This might be an aluminum screw right here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put the screws on here. Let's go ahead. Undo this a little bit more. Needs a little more turn. Tap off. Okay. This should eventually come off. We just need to add a little bit more spin. If not, it's probably held in barely. Tap, okay. Got the screw off, let's put it out of play. All right, now we need to go ahead, and there's also a screw you can see underneath right here. Two underneath right behind the gimbal. Go ahead and do that. Try to give you guys a good angle. There you go. That's the screw we want to concentrate on. All right. And let's go ahead and turn it. Okay, and then what I would do is use a tweezer for this. Pull this out. So you got the screw right here. Just get a tweezer. Pull it out. Put it in. Now on the other side, again, the same. Make sure you turn it all the way. Okay. Use the tweezer to go ahead, pull it off. Now that's the only screw we need to pull off the top cover. Be very careful when you do pull off the top cover. You want to start off, well, first thing I'm going to do is fold the legs. Okay. I'm concentrating this area right here. This flap. So you just need to open the lip a little bit. And it's right over here. Okay. And I will use my pry tool once I get it open to a certain point. Use my plastic pry tool here. So now let's go ahead and get this part open. Give you guys the best angle. Okay, there are clips here. Just remove the clips and then use a pry tool to gently move all this. Pry it down, okay? Be very careful. These plastics are ultra thin. Okay, once we have that, we can start going ahead and carefully lift it. Once you get into here, you should be able to just go ahead and push it in off the clip. Okay, let me go and close this in. Now we're going to work our way around this over side. Pull the clip. Work our way around. Let's close this side. Arm down. And again, we're working carefully. The shell here is extremely thin. It's like opening up, I would say, a Maryland blue crab. It almost has the same kind of shell thickness. So unless you're careful, you can rip this fairly easy. All right, let's go ahead and this is a sensitive part here. Just go ahead, pull out carefully, make sure it comes off. Okay, there we go. That's the two clips. Use a pry tool for the rest. Okay, and now with the top shell, we can put away. All right, so what we need to do now is go ahead and concentrate on opening the bottom. Okay, the bottom shell has these two screws here that's holding it. We'll work on that right now. Okay. The angle you guys are having is a lot better than what I can see. So I'm trying to give you guys the best angle possible so you can do this repair at home. Should you need the part, just click on the link below to my website and you can order the part. And then if you do have a drone that you don't want to attempt this repair yourself, we can definitely do it for you. Just contact us to the website and then we can help you send it over. Usually it takes about a week or 2 weeks turnaround, depending on the parts and the nature of the repair. And here we go. Open the shell off. Pry it carefully. Again, everything is gotta be very careful. There's a slide right here. Just pull off carefully. Now you have the exposed chassis. This is the lights. These are the obstacle avoidance sensor. And now that we have that, we will go ahead. We need to get to the actual control board, which is underneath here, you can see. And these uses the torque screw also. And let's go ahead and take it out. You go underneath right here with a torque screw. I'm gonna go ahead with the T4, turn. Okay, take that off. And again, be very careful. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it through, put the screw in, and you have two more. You can see it right there. Okay, one on the top right here, and one in the bottom left corner. I'm gonna start with the bottom left corner. Okay, you guys, best visibility possible. Working on that one. I'm very careful on turning the screw and not to touch any component. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and tap the two screws off. Two remaining screws should be coming out, and there we go, right here. Okay, and now we have that. We should be able to go ahead and lift this off. In order to access that, we are going to go ahead and work on the sensors here. All right, so I am going to be working around this, taking the bottom sensor and the auxiliary light on the lining lights off. Again, taking out the T4 screws. There are dampeners located on this. Using a tweezer, carefully removing the screw, put it in. And now we have this piece right here. It is on adhesive. So let's go ahead and free this, and we're going to do that by carefully lifting this up. Actually, after looking at this, I'm gonna try to bypass this by simply lifting this ribbon cable and then get underneath the screw that way. You don't wanna work on any component that's fragile, it could possibly break in the process of repair. So I have that exposed, taking this out. This is my first time fixing a Mini 4. So but most DJI products do have a similar build layout and component connection. So I have an idea of how to take it apart and put it back together. Top one right here, obstacle avoidance. Be very careful, lift this up. Because what I need to do is to replace this back leg with a new one. In order to do that, all the control board and control feature is located on here, this area right here. Okay, so you can, if you run the wire around here, this the leg right here will run from the back leg through here, and then underneath the obstacle avoidance sensor is the board that we need to take out. So again, from the top, we will go ahead and do this too. We need to pull all the obstacle avoidance sensor off of this in order to get to the issue. Okay, so we have the 4 obstacle avoidance sensor in the front, fisheye, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, that helps this drone be very good at avoiding objects. So carefully pull this off, okay? And then you have it connected to this board right here. Using my pry tool, I will go ahead and remove it, okay? And then you have another piece right here that is a compass. So we also want to carefully remove this so we can do the repair, or we can choose to keep it here. It depends, but from my experience, it's a lot easier just to remove that compass piece right there, unless it's harder to take out than keep in. In this case, this is a new drone that I'm not too familiar with, and they do have an adhesive holding on to it right here. So I'm just gonna leave it in and carefully work around it, okay? To keep this in place and not break, I am gonna go ahead and actually tape this area, okay? This will prevent me from actually moving around where the flex cable right here might rip, and then I have a non-working obstacle avoidance sensor due to the missing compass. Okay, we tape this in place to hold, so when we do move this around, it won't get dislodged. And this is the gimbal interface right here. You have a tape protecting the gimbal connection. Let's go ahead, carefully move the electronic tape so we can disengage the gimbal, and then we can take it out for repair. Okay, so this tape here is meant to hold the gimbal. Okay, so now looking at all this repair, in the past, the previous drone uses a combination of Phillips and torque, but this particular drone, the Mini 4, unlike the Mini 3, use exclusively torque. And you can see this T4 torque screw here holding a bracket. This bracket is what's keeping the gimbal connector from coming loose during flight or storage. We go ahead and lift that off. Investigate carefully, make sure it's just a matter of lifting. Okay, and I'm carefully investigating everything. You always have to do everything cautiously. And after looking at it, you notice that there is a holder right here, so I can't just rip it off. I have to slide this, slide it over, right here to the right, slide a bar. It's a bar slide that goes, see, goes underneath this piece right here. It slides underneath. That is what's keeping the gimbal secure. Gimbal connector. Let's go ahead and disengage the gimbal and connector. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and disengage the gimbal. Carefully lifting it. And again, I'm very careful about what I do. There's an adhesive over here. Okay. Because ultimately, what we need to do is lift this board up, okay? The board is where the ESC is located. And the ESC is right here. And we need to access that board. The board is located here. So this gimbal is what I do here. How am I gonna approach it? Am I gonna push the board out to this side? Or am I gonna pull it from here? If you look here, there is enough slack, okay? There is enough slack in this. Judging by the way the Mini 3 was, we can pull the line. That will allow us to slide the board from the top out. Let's go ahead and pull the line. Now we can work with this board by sliding it down to the other side, which is the top. But as I'm doing it, I'm carefully looking, and you can see that the connector here, the battery interface connector, this board is preventing it from moving up. So I would also need to lift this board up. So I'm lifting the main board off from the power connector or the power board. This is the main processing board of the drone. Go ahead and use a tweezer. Okay. Now I should be able to carefully, after looking at everything, strategically left. You have 4 antennas here. The other previous one only have 2 antennas. This one has 4 connected antennas. Okay. Now looking at everything here, I also probably need to remove the top. I need to remove the top because there's 2 connectors underneath here. So let's go ahead and remove this plate right here, which is the top plate. This is where the GPS is located. We can go ahead and disengage the GPS, okay? Disengage the GPS, put it out of play for now. And these are the other connectors that we prevent the board from flying up, popping. Okay, these are adhesive that's keeping it in. We're going to apply again an adhesive also to put back in the form of a glue gun when we finish putting it back. I'll go ahead and take all these other adhesive off for now. Okay, excess adhesive can come off. This. Okay, now I'm looking at the board. Should have a clear path to remove the board off. You have to slide it down right here. There's a lip right here that prevents the board from coming off completely. You would have to first free it from the exterior lip. Okay, and then of course there's another torque screw right here. Let's take that off. Okay. This is a totally different repair than a Mini 3. I would say it requires more steps. Okay. So now again, if you've never done any repair to a particular device, always be very careful and don't use too much strength to rip off or pull the power, okay? Because you have to realize that there is more to this, and you ripping it can damage a component. I just need enough space so I can lift the board out. I'm not removing this board completely, but I need this power board right here to come through so I can replace the arm. So now, as I'm doing this, I'm pulling it up. Now I'm freeing the power board from this, and you have this light. These are the light, the rear light connector, and I believe I can pull it up without having to pull off the rear light connector. And then let me look at the front light connector. Is there any front light connectors? Okay, this one doesn't have a front light connector, it's just the rear. All right, it's a little different than the Mini 3. Okay, now I should be able to go ahead and finesse this through carefully. Okay, let's lift this up a little bit more. Almost coming through. Okay. Just need to clear this heat sink. There we go. Let's get this over. Bring it up. And so I need access to these areas right here. Okay. That gives me enough access for soldering. Get the gimbal out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and tape the gimbal to be safe. Tape the gimbal, preventing me from damaging it and also keeping it in place. Kind of like an open heart surgery. You don't want to remove every vein connector from the body. You just want enough to get to the actual point. I'm not a surgeon, but I assume from looking at all those plant video, that's what they do. Okay, so now let's go ahead. I think we're free to go ahead and take this arm off. And from here, again, uses the T4, the bottom right here. That's where the broken leg is. We're gonna reuse this prop. This prop is good. Actually, you know what? customer asked me to replace all the props, which I will do. Okay, let's go ahead and put this away. Okay, and using a tweezer, I'll turn this over, and then you can just push this down. Okay, pushing it down here will allow this to pop out, and now we can lift this off. There we go. Now we can safely take this leg off. In order to do that though, we would need to bypass, to lift the brake free from all this adhesive that it has here. So it's been stuck to here. We're gonna go ahead and carefully work with it. Okay. Get rid of the hot glue that held it in place. Okay, I'm gonna try not to interfere with the working of these antennas. However, I do need to replace the power, okay, the light board right here. So this is the backlight connector. We're gonna pull that out. You can see white, gray, red. I mean, white, gray, black. We're gonna go ahead and pull it off, the connector right here. Okay, and now the cable here, I'm gonna run it properly to make sure I am correct. Should be the top. The top right here, you're looking at top connectors are the white, black, and red. We're gonna be soldering that in, okay? So now, go ahead with my tweezer. Okay, with a tweezer, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. You wanna get it close to the base as possible. You cut white, and then underneath of that, I'm just gonna cut red on top. Then you have the black right there, the black cable. Okay, these are the three to power the drone. Now I should technically be able to pull this off with the connector, carefully pulling it, making sure I'm not damaging any other connector. This is the light connector here. Let's pull that off first. And trying to get it through all the antennas. And now this is the red. Okay. As you can see, the orange antenna is the one connected to this one. So let's go ahead and lift it. And then you see you have adhesive here. You have the hot glue adhesive. So I am gonna carefully remove the hot glue adhesive. That's connecting this particular one on. Okay. We're gonna reapply the hot glue adhesive. Let's work around. Orange underneath this. Gray connector or gray antenna cable. Okay. Pull it out. And now we have the culprit to replace. You can see the new one will have the light connector right here. Got the black, red, and white power cable and the orange antenna. So let's go ahead and insert it in. And this is inserted this way. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Let's go ahead and insert it. Okay. So now that we put it in, let's go ahead and lock it into place before we do anything else. So underneath this, what we want to do is go ahead and actually prime. Okay. We want to go ahead and prime this. So I'm using the old cable. Okay, so the way this thing works is it's spring. you can't insert it in and expect it to lock into place. You have to actually pre-tension this. So I'm putting it using the old arm. I'm pre-tensioning it. Head about right here to this level. Also, you see I have a tendency to just, this is where it pops, either one direction or another. So in order to set it properly, you have to actually preload it and stop it right in the middle, the gap, okay? Now I line the square up to match this right here. So let's go ahead and align. I will align this to match that. Now I'm squaring it off to fit into here, okay? Now, once it's properly squared down the way I want it, I will push it down, okay? And then tap it down further, okay? This has to match. So turn it over. The red shaft of the shaft has to match this. So it can be a tricky matter if you don't do it right. I have to attempt it a few times. But you can see now you have this cable here that's pinching a little bit. So I gotta free some of this cable right here. This is the cable netting that is causing the shaft from not aligning. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and pull the cable out. Okay. Now I can go ahead, align the shaft, make sure it goes in properly. Insert, tap in, okay? You can see now it's aligned, shaft's in. Now when you fold the arm, it goes back, and forth and back, so it stays locked, okay? So now that part done, making sure everything is tucked in nice. Now I can go ahead and work on, first thing I'm gonna do is actually solder the cables first. I'm inspecting, make sure we have enough exposed wires, and they are exposed really well. I'm gonna go ahead and line it up using my tweezer, through and under. Okay, so I get to the other side. There we go. Now I'm pulling it through. I got my white and red. Now I'm looking for the black wires underneath somewhere. There we go. I got the black right here. Okay. I'm pulling this over. Okay. Over through and under. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the light cable. Again, I'm putting it under the way it was originally. Put it underneath the antenna cable. Might require a tweezer. Get underneath. Okay, pulling it all the way to get to the other side. Right here, I can find it. Okay. All right, now I'm pulling it through like so. Let's go ahead and apply the antenna cable on, orange antenna cable. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Connect it. This is a tap connector, so it has that hole. This thing is tiny, so you gotta be very careful. Make sure it rests properly. If you push it down the wrong way, you can damage the antenna, then you have a semi-operational or limited range drone. The 4 antennas allow you for better video quality and also a longer range and more stable flight, as far as more stable control through radio connection. Okay. I'm tapping it. See, it clicks on. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna work on soldering these cables right here in. All right, and for this soldering, I definitely want to work from the more difficult to the easy. So in this case, I'm doing the white cable first, and then black, then finally red, okay? So let's go ahead and we're gonna pull white off this right here. Expose the wires. Let me go ahead and expose the wires. Connect that to the white was originally on there, okay? It's not a matter of just connecting and making it work. You have to actually secure it and also keep it from cross jumping. So what I do is I use heat shrink. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut 3 pieces of heat shrink here to the the area to the size that I need. Make sure it works. Now I'm gonna go ahead with the white. I'm gonna go and insert the heat shrink in. Okay, excuse the ugly nails. It's a working's man finger. All right, let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and solder this in. Be very careful with my solder technique. First, I'm gonna go ahead and tap solder into here to go ahead and put enough solder for the bridge connection. There we go. I just want a little droplet. There you go. That's enough droplet for what I need. I'm gonna go ahead. Complicated. I just want to position it just right, so when I melt the solder, it transfer over to the white connector. So white power cable, tap, solder hole, missed. Okay, let's go ahead and expose this more so I can see what's going on. There you go. Gotta position it just right. We're also gonna add some solder to the tip of this, because that's also exposed. Let's go add some more solder to that tip. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. Solder to the tip. Using my left hand again. I'm charging that the solder point on the board. I'm taking this white solder wire in. Okay, I think that is enough. Tweezers in place. And I'm gonna go ahead and seal this heat shrink. Zoom out. Okay. Again, you guys are getting a way better view than me. I'm almost guessing at this point. I envy your view. There you go. Heat sink got into place. You have to do it at the connection point of the board, or else you're not going to get the power or the flow that you need to actually effectively control a heat shrink down the tube. Now let's go ahead and make the connection. Zooming out, let's see a little bit more what I'm doing. Okay. using this clamp to hold the connector in place, or the wires in place, so we can solder. Using the tweezer here. Okay. I'm applying just enough force that will sink in to the heated element. Okay, now black is in place. Let's go ahead and slide the heat shrink to the connection. Okay, let's go ahead, add a little heat. Thank it. Now we got one more wire left, which is the red wire. Let's go ahead, prepare the same way. Tin it really well. Okay. There we go. Now let's go ahead and add a little tin to the tip of this red. Right here. There we go. Red is 10. Chop in heat shrink. All right, for the last solder of this repair, create a bridge, charge the solder. All right, let's get the solder going. Okay. Connectors in. Okay. Very good. Now we can go ahead and start putting everything back in here. Carefully run everything down, back to the point. Okay. I'm gonna rest the board in through here into its proper place. There we go. Perfect. Turn it over. So what we want is get the board back in. First thing I'm gonna do now is go ahead and secure this board back in by putting the screw in, okay? So these screws here, let's test if they're magnetic. These are not magnetic. These are non-ferrule. So I have to be very careful when I apply this. What I'll do is use a tweezer, like I'm doing here. I'm holding it into place to align it And then once I get it into the slot, I use my screwdriver to go ahead, turn the screw in. All right. Now do the same thing for the top half of this. These two screws on top, 1 and 2 down there. Again, this one I will go ahead and turn it over. And now I will do the same thing. I will hold this screw in place. And then I'll screw it in. Trying to get you guys the best angle, but this is not gonna be pretty. So I'm giving you what I can. I also have to compromise because I have to see what I'm doing also. But you saw how I took it off. Now I'm putting it on. Same procedure, except tightening it instead of loosening it. Okay. All right, now that is in. Got one more screw on the left side. Let's go ahead. Charge it up. That. Insert it into here. Line it up. Now you screw to turn it in place. Now all that is in. There you go. Let's go ahead. Put all the crucial component back in. Okay. So now I'll be very careful. Make sure everything is aligned and locked into place. Okay, right there. I'm gonna put a torque screw in to here, to that lock right there. Putting a torque to place. Oh, by the way, right here is the water damage indicator. That's how you know if the drone has water damage. If you send it back to them, DJI can tell if it's been damaged by water. I think DJI Refresh doesn't really care if it's damaged by water or not. They'll take care of it if you have it. DJI Refresh, in my opinion, is pretty good, especially if you're flying commercially. But it does take time to get it back. That's the only negative side of DJI Refresh. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna also put the other torque screw right on top right here. Okay. Dropping it into here. Tighten that up. There we go. Everything's into place. Now we'll put the light cable back in. Again, it goes black, gray, white. So white on the outside. We'll go ahead. My tweezer. Line it up. And insert it in. There we go. And insert. Sometimes kind of hard to align because everything in this thing is tiny. It's like a Swiss watch. I don't own a Swiss watch, but people always compare to find things like a Swiss watch. Okay, it's all in. However, if you guys click like and subscribe and maybe refer some of your friends, send drones my way or help me in my website, maybe I can afford a Swiss watch and I'll thank you for it. Have no objection. I love high quality electronics and also high quality mechanism. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put the obstacle avoidance sensor back onto here. And obstacle avoidance sensor for this drone, I will carefully make sure that this is not, okay, we gotta be very careful around this because we do have an exposed wire right here. All right, and so this is in the bottom, so it lines up like this, okay? So now you got the cable back into place, the connector right here. This is the obstacle avoidance sensor connector. Make sure you seat it in. I can feel the click. Okay, there we go. Now let's put this back into its socket and then put the screw on. Okay, and these are the torque screws that's holding it in place. Okay. All right. Can be difficult, but I'm gonna go ahead, tighten it carefully. Other piece here. In the past, I have wore a glove, but it is kind of wearing a glove actually minimize the amount of sensitivity. I have to have maximum amount of sensitivity to actually adjust this and also put these parts into place. Okay. As far as the gimbal, I think I know what the problem is. I'm gonna go ahead and put the gimbal connector back in, okay? And it should be a simple solution if I remember correctly. It happens also to the Dji Mini 3 I worked on in the past, and it might be something very simple. But let's go ahead and get the gimbal cable connector into place. All right, so now we have the gimbal here and the connector down here. So let's go ahead and lift all this so we can get access to the connector. There we go. Put the gimbal connector in. Okay, resetting it. The slot. I'm waiting to hear a click. All right. And that's it. It's seated properly. Okay, and now let's go ahead and roll this connector back over with the heatsink. Okay, like was originally set. All right, so now roll this over here. Gimbal connectors in. Now I can go ahead and insert the gimbal tightening bracket over that. I'm doing it so. Okay, let's go ahead and slide it forward to match the screw hole. And now let's go ahead and put the screw in. Okay. Turning it. Make sure it's nice and tight. All right, now let's go ahead and put all these sockets, the connectors into place. Blowing any kind of debris that could be preventing me from properly seating these connectors. And that's probably the key to the gimbal also. I'm giving you a hint. Gimbal problem is probably a connector issue with debris. Okay, so now I have all that in. Okay, and this is the other connector, the GPS. I'm gonna go ahead, slide that also into place. Okay, so I do notice one thing though. I notice one thing that's really important. I need to take these these screws off first, because that is securing the heat sink and the GPS block board on. So let's go ahead and do so with this. Okay. All right, so now what I'm gonna do with the heat gun now is to make sure all of these, not heat gun, the glue gun, is seal this area like we originally found it, like so. And now what we would do is go ahead and put the GPS connector onto here. Okay, and again, seat it properly. We gotta feel the seal. Okay, I feel it. It's a little snap. Now I'm gonna go ahead, also put a little drop of hot glue, secure it. All right, now let's go ahead and drop all this into place. Okay, and then once we have that in place, we can go ahead and start dropping the screw and securing everything. So now I'm gonna go ahead and drop the screw in, secure everything to the board. Okay. First thing I'm gonna do is the gimbal bracket. Make sure it's nice and secure. There we go. That's the proper way to do it. I'm not sure how it happened the first way. All right, let's go ahead and put the other board on to here. Tighten the other side of the screw. Whew. Things are getting hard here. Okay, so let me go ahead and line it up. Drop into the hole. Line up the hole with the screw. Now begin to tighten it. All right, everything's tightened. All right, and that is good. Okay, let's go ahead. Got that done. Let's put the top on. Okay, see the screws here? This goes in and we screw that from the bottom. Let's go ahead and put the top shell on to this unit. Again, snapping it on. Be very gingerly careful. It should snap into place. Okay. Shouldn't take too much force, just a right amount of push to get this shell to properly snap back together. Okay. Back here. There we go. Other side. Everything is snapped. Okay, turn it over. Let's go ahead and put the screws that's needed to hold this in. Okay. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put the screws in. holds it down. Okay. Okay. That's the secure the back half of the shell on. Final screw. All right. Looks good. Thing here looks good. Let's go ahead and push these cable back into its well. And put it into the proper slots of the track that the cable was meant to be in. Pushing it all back into this cabling well for the cable slack. Okay. Now let's go ahead, put this connector underneath, the obstacle wires in the bottom underneath, and then we just tighten the screws. Let's go ahead and put the slack into, cable slack into the cable well again. All right, and you can see, let's go ahead and align this cable the way it's supposed to, because we want it to be proper, like the other side. Okay, pushing it in. Now there we go. Run it through here. Cable back into the cable well. Everything is tightened. Now let's go ahead and secure these with the 2 screws. These are the black ones. Screw avoidance sensor and auxiliary downward facing light. Actually, I take that back. That actually belongs in the back wheel, back part right here. Sometimes we make mistakes. Let's go ahead and put that in to secure the rear leg, the rear arm or rear leg, whatever you call it. I personally like to call it the rear leg. The front is the arm. Keep it similar to a, I would say the human anatomy. Hey, I also want you guys to know, I have a different YouTube channel. We talk about all sorts of technology interests, but mainly drones and what people do with it. The podcast, the YouTube channel is called Point of Interest. I'm gonna click the link below, and if you guys can go and watch it and you actually get to see me talking about the news and different innovation that go out that might be life-changing in the future-changing in the world in the near future, or topic that might reflect you and how you use a drone, I would say go there and subscribe. Any subscription is much appreciated, and definitely me and my partner Gary would really appreciate you guys dropping by. We are just starting the channel and we barely are getting any subscribership. We're at about close to 1,000 or 500 at least, and we're hoping that you who watch this channel get information on repair can also maybe be interested in other topics relating to drones and different technology that will be changing the world. And I also give tips on how to maintain your drone. And we have special programs, meet and greet in the future, where you can actually come over to an event that we hold and meet us. Okay, let me go ahead and turn this over here. Again, the channel is called Point of Interest. We would really appreciate you dropping by, giving a comment, click link, and of course subscribe. Like and subscribe. And we have a lot of special programs. And we're trying to do a yearly drone festival, a competition where people can come and test their skill with the rest of the pilots. All right, let's go ahead and get this underneath the wires. It's a little difficult right here. Again, because of the flex cable, but I did not want to risk pulling something that might rip. Right now, as of the Mini 4 Pro drone, as the date of the recording, it's really, really hard to get parts for this repair. But I hope in the future parts are more available so you can do the repair yourself. If you can't find the part, contact me. Just go to my website, iRepairMD.com, and I have a contact area where you can send me inquiries. Let's go ahead and put this in, snap everything into place. There we go. Now secure these part. Okay. Go ahead and secure this. Okay. Okay. Give you a close-up on the other side. Just drop this in. Okay. To the well. Turn the screw. And secure the bottom one. All right. So now, before I do everything else, let's address the issue with the gimbal. I believe that when it hit, there could be issues with dust getting in, because I can see this thing move freely. There's nothing really to obstruct it properly. So it could be dust, or the cable could be dislodged. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and open. I'm gonna go to the simplest repair part for the gimbal. That is opening up the pitch arm access point that controls the pitch. Okay. All right, I'll give you a better close-up, okay? I'm gonna zoom in, hold on a second. We'll get you a better, try and get you a better angle. There you go. Let's pull this off. Okay, as I suspected. You see this right here? It's dislodged. So I'm gonna go ahead and secure it. And I'm gonna put a little hot glue so to make sure it doesn't come off again. Okay, immediately I will put this back in before the hot glue dries and prevent me from properly seating it. There we go. Okay, now let's go ahead and power on this drone to see if I'm right about my suspicion. Okay, so let's go ahead and power it up. Make sure everything works. There's a few screws I still have to put on, and of course the prop and the bottom piece. But let's go ahead overall. Let's see what we got. Power on. Drone. Tap, tap. Okay, I'm always really bad at tapping this. There you go again. Tap and tap. There we go. And now let's power on the controller also. Okay, you can see the lights are working on both sides. And let's take a look at the gimbal. Look, it's stabilized. The gimbal stabilized. So that fixed the problem with the gimbal. Let's see what the feed is now. We're looking for any error that this, before we close up the drone completely, we want to make sure there's no error that's present. Powering it up. Okay, ESC error, power hardware error, restart aircraft. Okay, let's take a look, see what the issue is. Power hardware error, restart aircraft, repair required. All right, let's take a look, see what the issue is, okay? Okay, so we have everything ready. Let's go ahead and test fly this. Go ahead and initiate the props.
Takeoff.
All right.
Home point updated.
There we go. Obstacle avoidance work. All right. There we go. Everything is good. Bring it to me. All right. Stationary point. There we go. All right. So this is Prac with our PMD, and what you saw was a repair of a Mavic, of a Dji Mini 4 Pro. Safe flying and safe repair. Anyways, this is Prac with our PMD. What you saw is a repair of a Dji Mini 4. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. But anyways, safe flying and safe repair.